For the last month, I have been at a mental health facility. In the, parlance of our times, I went crazy. I lost my marbles. I had a complete break with reality and became very dissociative. Everyone suffers trauma and then tries to keep it small in order to survive. It's a survival mechanism. When I was in Sierra Tucson, at first, I didn't really want to talk about the traumas that I suffered. And I got to stop doing that because they are traumas. The human nervous system doesn't recognize levels of trauma. It doesn't equivocate. The human nervous system doesn't go like, well, that's a little trauma, so that's okay. That's a big trauma, so we'll deal with that. Trauma is trauma. So, case in point, as kids in the 70s, there wasn't a lot of, hey, be careful. They didn't treat children like Fabergé eggs. They treated kids like kids in the 70s, which is like, you can handle this. Growing up, I grew up in an era when if you cried, people would be like, I'll give you something to cry about. There wasn't a lot of nurturing and understanding and stuff. And my teacher is walking around the room and comes to a stop right next to me. I'm standing and she's standing right here, and she's taller. Of course, I was little. And I felt her looking at me. Like I felt her eyes boring into me. And finally, before I sit down at my desk, I look up at my fourth grade teacher. And my fourth grade teacher, who was a woman in her 50s, looks down at me with the most abject disgust in her face and says, ugh, the gut on you, Mr. Smith. Saying that in front of a room full of your peers, someone who's, meant to be caring for you and somebody you respect because that's the teacher, devastated a kid who didn't have the tools prepared for that. I'm sure there are people like, you think that's bad? I've been through worse. That's called playing Trauma Olympics. I'm sure people have been through horrible things, way more horrible than that. But the central nervous system reacts the exact same way in everybody. Trauma is trauma. Remember that. The stuff that happened at 9 ties directly into the body dysmorphia I've had my entire life. I have always seen myself, and even now, I see myself as disgusting. I see myself the way my fourth grade teacher, I don't want to give her name, saw me. That look on her face and the thing that she said must be true. Here's an adult who is in charge of me, who I spend 5-6 hours a day with. So if she's saying it, this has to be true. I minimize that my entire life, as people are doing as they watch this right now. Like, I was called fat when I was a kid. Well, I'm sorry. I'm really sorry that happened to you. And I hope it didn't affect you the way that it affected me deeply and shaped who I became. Literally, sometimes physically shaped who I became. I didn't have time to take care of my mental health. I just had to go. Like so many of us in life, we have so many things to do. Some of us have multiple jobs and we power through. We've been taught to just power through, get to the other side, fake it until you can make it. The dumb thing about making yourself your job, kids, is that the moment you wake up, you're working until the moment you go to sleep. And I burned out over time because you need a rest. Add to this my codependency. I am an incredibly, insanely codependent person. That's the people pleasing. If you need help, my hands instantly go on my hips. What can I do? I go into hero mode, hero complex mode. I can solve your problems because I can't solve mine. I have never really loved myself. I abjectly loathe myself. I love the other guy. The other guy is my creation, is the creation of a 9-year-old, perfected to the point where I was able to inhabit the other guy for a living and let the other guy do everything while I sat back and watched, as a passenger in my own life. And that's not healthy by any stretch of the imagination. One of the most dangerous addictions isn't alcohol, it isn't drugs, it's thinking, because we can't stop it. And most of our thoughts are negative because most of us believe the worst about ourselves, whether it's something that was said to us in childhood, somebody be like, oh, you're stupid. That's something you carry with you for the rest of your life. Like, I'm stupid. And these are things that are said to us when we're young, and they kind of shape us. And when we're at our most quiet, that's when those thoughts come in. I had a wound that marijuana was really good for. And I had this open wound, and I put a Band-Aid on it. That's what weed was. But the wound kept getting bigger and bigger, and then I put more Band-Aids on it, more Band-Aids on it. And by the time I walked into Sierra Tucson, I was a mummy, just covered in bandages and not really present in the real world, because constantly I was numbing myself. And we miss so much of the present because we're so busy dealing with the past and so busy being worried about the future. So when I walked into Sierra Tucson, I was this hollow ghost of a human being. And I told them, I was like, hey man, I see myself as a performative version of myself. I call him the other guy. And, I looked in the other day and I wasn't there anymore. So when I walked into Sierra Tucson, I was convinced that I'd stopped existing. That was my break with reality. Now I'm going to start figuring out more of those things that's not related to what I do for a living. I'm not putting away what I do for a living. I built that other guy and I love him, but I'm going to maintain him now. He's not going to maintain me. In conclusion, not crazy anymore. Deal with your trauma, folks. I'm dealing with mine, and it's improving my life vastly. So hopefully this information is useful to somebody. There's no, link to click to sell anything and whatnot. This is just me learning something and passing it on to people that I care about. And I care about all of you, even the ones who are like, I hate this guy. I don't hate you. I care about you. I just don't need your validation anymore. And that's good, because now we could just be friends. So there it is. Thanks for listening, everybody. Go take care of your mind.